What's up, y'all? It's Ayotemi. You know what I'm saying? First, I'm gonna just ask that God flows through me in this video, flows through what I'm about to share, what He's called me to share, and what the people need, what you as a viewer need through this experience. I just ask that God lead the way. He's called me to come on camera and start talking. And I want to talk to you guys today about why it is that I started making music for God, the journey that I've been on throughout this process. I'm going to do my best. The journey that I've been on through this process, where I'm at now, what I'm realizing about how it connects to even before I incarnate into this physical existence, and whatever else the Most High wants us to talk about here. Thank you for joining. You know what I'm saying? To introduce myself, my name is Ayotemi. I'm a music artist. More accurately, I'm a minister for the Most High. I'm a conduit for divine truth, heavenly frequencies to come through into this one. You know what I'm saying? I create in collaboration with God. And where I'm at now in my journey, I'm in sage mode. You know what I'm saying? Naruto, when he was in sage mode, when he had the cloak with the fit, when he was locked in, that's where I'm at right now. You know what I'm saying? My experience in the studio now, I don't even write anything anymore. I go in and I'm co-creating with God. The flows that come through, the words that come through, these songs come through fully formed. And then the process is more of an immersion of what is coming through me into the physical through the process of layering and all of that kind of stuff. So that's where I'm at now. Where I'm at now, it's about service. It's about service. My music is about serving God's people, serving God, telling the good news, the amazing news of what it actually means to be a human being, what it means to be a child of God, what it means to be called by God, to answer that call, and to walk in and act in the authority and the power that is granted to us by, submitting ourselves to God, and the reward, the beautiful, marvelous, abundant reward that comes from, moving in accordance with the Most High. So that's where I'm at right now, okay? In the beginning, I started off, I was always musical. I started off drumming as a baby. Yeah, I gotta keep track to make sure. I got about 20 gigs, so we should be good. I started off drumming as a baby. Shout out my mom. She always let me bang on the back of her car seat. Before I could talk, I had the rhythm coursing through me. My dad was a drummer, you know what I'm saying, before he stepped out on his own path. And definitely inherited some of that through him, I believe, because he was a drummer for the church. I always say that I was blessed with rhythm in order to find my way back home, find my way back to the moment, find my way back to the certainty, I could go into all types of different tangents, but drumming is deeper than just drumming, you know what I'm saying? Every time that you hit, and I got my drum right here, quick lesson. Every time that you hit the drum, that's a highlight of a moment that just passed, you know what I'm saying? So the drum is powerful for grounding into the moment. So when you establish a tempo, you know what I'm saying, this in itself is pure certainty. You know what I'm saying? This is truth right here. You know what what I'm saying? Highlights of the moment equally spaced apart. And then what happens all in between. That's what we're experiencing here. Let me not get too deep before y'all get to know who I am. But yeah, I started off drumming as a baby. I really learned the language of rhythm living in Nigeria. I spent 3.5 years in Nigeria when I was young, about 11 to 14. I met a kid who his mom owned a pepper grinding shop, right outside my father's compound. And when we first pulled in, coming in from America, which that's another story, I might tell that in another video, I saw this kid, you know what I'm saying? He's drumming on he got this, all right, let me try and paint the picture for you. So we got the pepper grinding shop, and then there's a road in front of the pepper grinding shop, and then my dad's compound's on the other side. There was this big metal pole that would come out from in front of his shop, or his mom's shop, and block off that road, right? Hopefully that makes sense. So it was open, and the metal bar is right in front of his shop. So he's standing in front of his shop with 2 sticks, banging on this metal pole. He's not even looking. He's not even processing really what he's processing. He's not really consciously drumming. I'm seeing him looking around, and he's just, and I'm glued to the side of I'm glued to the window as we pulling into the house. I'm seeing him. I'm like, this kid is going to be my sensei. You know what I'm saying? I go out and meet him. I'm like, you have to teach me how to drum. You know, this little 5, 6 years old. His name was Emmanuel. God bless him. He was like, go and find 2 sticks. I went and found my 2 sticks, and I stood beside him, and I caught the rhythm as he was drumming. And I would come out there every day and drum with him until we were able to tell jokes with the rhythm. No words being said, but we would drum, and we were speaking the language of drumming. And one of us would tell a joke, and the other would laugh. You know, it became a very intrinsic thing. So this is where I learned really the language of rhythm. And of course, my journey with that has deepened over the years. You know what I'm saying? So, boom, rhythm is like that with me. That's why the flow, when you hear my music, the flows are always so intricate. You know what I'm saying? That's why I've been able to coin the genre indigo rap, which takes rhythm as a foundational. I want to get so deep. It takes rhythm as a foundational, the music that I make is multidimensional, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's the reason why the foundation of rhythm within my music is so strong. I added the other dimensions later, you know what I'm saying? The melodies, the messages, you know what I'm saying? To create, at this point, we create in 5th dimensional music, you know what I'm saying? At this point, we creating directly with God, you know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, listen for yourself, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I remember around 14 years old, this is when I started to realize that I could sing. Right before puberty and stuff started to hit, I would sing, but I distinctly remember singing Let It Burn by Usher. And I guess getting to a point where I liked what I was hearing because consciously it registered that, oh, this actually sounds good. Like, I would listen to this. I was 14 in Nigeria. And this is where, the talents started to fester. The natural talent started to fester. Now, fast forward to 17 years old, and during that time, I came back to America when I was around 14, around 15, 16, I joined like the church choir. Shout out Caleb Crew, you know what I'm saying, over there in Silver Spring, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, music and harmony and melody and all of this was, you know what I'm saying, it was where I shined naturally. I'm trying to tell the story perfectly chronologically. Um, Now, something very interesting happened around 17 years old. So, my whole time growing up, I was super against like smoking and weed and cigarettes. I was super against it because while I was living in Nigeria with my dad, he was a chain smoker. You know what I'm saying? He would smoke maybe a pack a day, you know, 2 packs on a stressful day. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I always saw that it was killing him. You know, it was gonna take him away from us. And I loved him so much. So there were times where I would take the cigarette packs and just throw them away and just like take the ass whooping. You know what I'm saying? Because like at the end of the day, what's one ass whooping to like a year of your life? That's my mind processing. So I was always super against smoking. My first girlfriend, we ended up splitting because I didn't want her to smoke weed. I was trying to control her. You know what I'm saying? Can't do that. You know what I'm saying? Cage bird had to fly. You know. So anyway, around 17, I discovered weed for myself. Shout out my brethren. I'm not gonna say their names in case that's incriminating, even though it's legal now. I remember the first time I smoked weed, because my relationship with music at this point had really deepened. The first time I smoked weed, I hit on my friend, my homie put some headphones on me, and this is not me necessarily like encouraging weed. That's not my business. Put the headphones on me, you know what I'm saying? And let me backtrack. It is my business, okay? Everything in moderation is what I would say on that. Besides that, listen to your folks. Listen to people that you know what I'm saying, you trust, your parents and stuff like that. But yeah, put the headphones on me. I started to feel the music like in my hands, in my body, in my shoulders, you know, and it became very apparent to me very quickly that there is much more than the conscious realm, which I was tapping into during that time, but I'd never experienced it so consciously. And so that was a profound shift in my experience. I keep checking to make sure the time. We're good. So my relationship with God at this point, I knew that God was real, you know what I'm saying? Because I could feel that God was real. And also, you know, the church, my mom, everybody was saying God was real. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming up as a kid. I have no reason to believe that God is not real. However, my relationship with God was never really based too much on fear. I just wanted to be on the right terms with God. I wanted to be close to God, like David, you know. I wanted to make sure that I was making God happy. So it wasn't really about fear. It was more so about love from my perspective. But this is where the first major conflict of my young existence happened, because I would smoke and I would feel that I was closer to God, that the line between the physical and the spiritual was blurred. You know what I'm saying? I felt like when I would smoke and I would like sing praise and worship, I would feel more, you know what I'm saying, the presence. I would feel the energy, you know what I'm saying? But the church was telling me it was a sin. So something's not adding up, right? And I'm like, you know, God, me and you were like this, you know, rather than like damn me to hell, which that's what they're saying in the church happens when you sin, which of course they're trying to use fear to, they're scared. They're scared that the children are going to go the wrong way. They think they have to use fear to control the children. It's not the way, you know what I'm saying? That's not what we're doing here, you feel me? That's why that's part of the reason there's so much trauma around all of this thing. Anyway, I'm like, God, rather than damn me to hell, if you don't want me to smoke, tell me. You feel me? Tell me. We'll wrap it up right now. We'll nip it in the butt. You know what I'm saying? I should be able to hear from God about this because I'm feeling one thing. The church is telling me something different, right? So we had this prayer retreat that we were gonna go to, like the Chesapeake Bay. You know what I'm saying? If you're from the East Coast, from Maryland, shout out you. You know what I'm saying? We was going to the Chesapeake Bay. They had like a little like, you know, church situation that we would do every year. It was a church retreat. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to hear from God. Okay. At this point, I'm not jaded at all about life. Now I'm at a different level with God to where like I can hear from God even easier. But at that time, it was just about pure faith and not being jaded by life to be like, maybe I've tried to hear from God and I can't. So I'm like, I'm about to go hear from God. You know what I'm saying? That's my intention for the whole thing. I remember the like the message, the theme of the whole prayer retreat was about finding your secret space with God. And so this was a time in my young life where I was very intentionally like isolating myself in this trip so that I can hear from God about this weed thing. You know what I'm saying? This is like the fundamental, like, you know what I'm saying, like issue of my existence at this point. Because it's so funny when I think back. But one of these nights, I think it lasted like 4 nights or so. I think the third night, we are singing praise and worship. We are, you know what I'm saying, locking in with God, your secret space with God. You know what I'm saying, locking in with God. My God, here we go. You know what I'm saying, singing praise and worship. I'm singing. All of a sudden, I start shaking uncontrollably. My body's shaking uncontrollably. I start crying uncontrollably. I fall to the ground. I'm in fetal position. You know what I'm saying? Everybody around, so many like phenomenal things happened at this thing. Like I'm talking about kids. Like the kids at that point, this was kind of like early on in phones and Instagram and all of that stuff. We wasn't on all that like that. So, you know, I'm talking about little kids running around casting out demons. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that was there that's watching this, y'all remember, you know what I'm saying? And we are all locked in from that time. It was so powerful. I'm talking about children, you know what I'm saying? Running around chasing demons in groups. It was crazy, bro. But yeah, so it was that kind of atmosphere. So me falling on the ground in fetal position and shaking was not like, oh my God, somebody help him. So I'm on the ground, crying, shaking, speaking in tongues, right? It's crazy, it's serious. And I hear in my ear loudly 3 times, you are a minister. You are a minister. You are a minister. Now, I didn't know what that word meant at the time. I had to go look it up, which is how I knew that this was not my voice. This was not my imagination. You know what I'm saying? So I call my mom, you know what I'm saying? I'm crying. She can attest to this day. I call her, I'm crying. I'm speaking in tongues. I'm praying for her. I'm crying. I'm like, Mom, I'm a minister. I'm a minister. God just told me I'm a minister. I'm crying. You know, yeah. And I can say that from that point, I knew that my purpose on this earth was to utilize my gift to minister God's truth. When I went and looked up what a minister meant on Google, it says something like, you know what I'm saying, a singer in the church. So I thought that I was meant to sing in the church. As, you know, this was a very pivotal time for me, this 17-year-old time. I was going to be going to college soon. I skipped a grade, so I was about to go to college. And I remember at that time also I was really worried that, I'm 17, but I don't feel like I'm about to turn 18, but I don't feel like an 18-year-old, you know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I'm mature enough to be 18. Like I remember when we were freshmen in high school, we looked up at the seniors like they were huge, they were adults, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I don't feel I don't feel ready for that. You know what I'm saying? So I remember praying to God for wisdom, because it said in the Bible that if you ask God for wisdom, He'll give you freely. And I'm like, yo, I need wisdom. You know what I'm saying? And as I prayed this prayer for wisdom, in the coming days around that, I'll never forget this. The word revelation and what it meant randomly came to my mind. Like that information. I guess, honestly, when I think about it now, I feel like when you ask God for wisdom, you open up a channel for divine information to be passed down to you from the higher frequencies. It makes a lot of sense. The word revelation, I randomly understood what that word meant, and I started making revelations about everything, from the fluoride in the toothpaste to the way human beings act to each other, to, you know what I'm saying, some of the systems. I'm trying to think about like my early revelations. Like I started to look at the human experience through a different lens. I started to see that I could look at it from an observer perspective and not just from a participant perspective, which is crazy that I think about it now. But anyway, as I had this spiritual experience where I learned I was a minister, my journey continued and I started to make revelations about what that meant. And I understood that, you know, based on how Jesus moved in the world, I wasn't meant to be in the church singing to the choir. You know, I was meant to be in the world, not necessarily like in the world, but I was meant to preach to the people that needed God's spirit, the people that needed their souls to be transformed. You know what I'm saying? Their frequency to be raised, you know, so yeah, like that's how the journey started. Now, I will say, like going into college, since I knew this was my purpose, like it really kept me out of like the trouble, you know what I'm saying? It kept me away from drinking and going to the club, you know what I'm saying? I was always in the studio. I was super militant about my purpose. Like I felt like, you know, a mandate had been placed on my life. It was nothing to play with. I was not playing about it. I'm laughing because I was so serious. You know, I remember I had a band. I had an 8-piece band, you know what I'm saying? A bunch of the jazz kids, you know, gathered all of us around together. They could feel that there was an energy in the spirit. And I knew there was an energy in the spirit. So I didn't even I was not anywhere near as emotionally intelligent and self-aware as I am now. And I look back on those times and I was very militant about my purpose, but I was not very emotionally aware. I was not the most compassionate and caring, you know, to my bandmates. Like for me, anything we did wrong was kind of like disrespecting God. And this is a very important thing that I'm gonna just take a little detour, because as people that serve God, it's so important that we really, really make sure that we have an understanding of who God is, you know, because human beings have a tendency to create God in our own image and then be led by that image, you know, and that in itself is a huge reason for a lot of the problems that we have in this world. You know, for a world and for people that are supposed to be God-fearing, you know, and this is a huge reason why people look at people that are God-fearing and they're like, bruh, you know what I'm saying? Nah, you know, and reject all of that. It's because of that very fact, you know. People don't understand who God is, you know, and it's understandable because it's something that is so beyond our comprehension. It'd be like trying to fit the ocean into a cup. But the more that we understand the nature of God, the personality of God, you know, being an all-powerful being, you know, even just like how loving and how open He is with us as mortal beings, like, you know, that's super important, and that is something that I had to learn also, to where like I've arrived here, I'm in sage mode, you know what I'm saying? I'm able to like really talk about this stuff. You feel me? So boom, you know what I'm saying? You know, if you was in the IRE band during that time, you know, I wanna apologize publicly. I mean, it was it was an amazing and beautiful time. I know some of y'all might not even look at it like that. Some of y'all, like, I know a lot of the bandmates went on to like become dope artists, and you might not even look at it like that. But knowing what I know now and how I steward my gift now and steward the people around me that work with me to bring this mission and bring this vision to life, and the love that I treat them with, I did not, you know, have the awareness to like treat people with that love at that time. I was young, you know what I'm saying? I was in a leadership position, but I was young, you know what I mean? Um, yeah, I've lost friends because of lack of emotional intelligence and lack of empathy and compassion, you know. Yeah, like people come into practice late. I was not having that, you know what I'm saying? Wrong notes and stuff on stuff that we rehearsed. But bro, like it was never like that. Like it was never like that, you know. I was missing a lot of the beauty and the blessing of God in like providing me with such talented people to create and then express a sound. I mean, we performed all over New Orleans, you know, throughout college. Extremely powerful, ministering, you know, bringing that vibration from a young age. Like I've been doing this for a long time now, and I'm still young. You know what I'm saying? You see how we looking. You know what I'm saying? I'm still young, but from a young age, I'm talking 17. You know what I'm saying? 18, leading a 8-piece band. You feel me? Doing shows. You know, we opened for a Thievery Corporation at the Joy Theater. You know what I'm saying? Just to bring it to the ground. You know, like. So yeah, love to that whole time. Um, I digress. Like going into college, knowing that my purpose was ministry, it kept me away from a lot of, you know, the stuff. And I was still finding myself as an artist, finding my sound. I was still, you know, exploring what I could do during those early stages. I was super drawn to reggae music because of, you know, artists like Bob Marley, you know what I'm saying? Dennis Brown, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you know, all of the Marleys, bro. Steven, you know what I'm saying? Damien, you know. Um, and some of the lesser known ones, like, you know what I'm saying? Steel Pulse, you know what I'm saying? So many. I was so immersed in reggae music. But Bob Marley, and I have him on my wall right here, Bob Marley taught me, Rasta taught me the concept of interconnectedness. You feel me? I and I. Speaking of the smaller I and the larger I, you know what I'm saying? You understand what I'm talking about? Like, I and I. You know what I'm saying? Not them, not her, not him. I and I. You know what I'm saying? Us, we. You know what I'm saying? The interconnectedness of all living things and operating based on those principles. Very much so. Okay, so boom. Let me rewind real quick. Me asking for wisdom before I went to college, plus knowing my purpose, really it set me up to be able to really be immersed in truth, and like my intuition would be ignited by things that were in alignment with the divine. You know what I'm saying? This is like these formative, like I left home because, you know, being in a house, being raised by a single immigrant mom, she's terrified every day. You know what I'm saying? She's raising two boys, two big boys. You know what I'm saying? She's terrified every day. The terror is too much. You know what I'm saying? I end up having to leave, and I go all the way to New Orleans from Maryland. Now, being out here, and God, thank God, because I was so guided, I was so protected and taken care of. My whole journey really has been so carefully, you know what I'm saying, curated by the divine. I digress again, you know. but yeah, this was, the revelations. Like, I was learning about, you know, consciousness. I was learning about, lucid dreaming, astral projection, like energy. I was learning about, real energy. Like, I was, we were at that time in college too, we were experimenting with mushrooms and acid, and we were really peeling back the layers of the physical and really like feeling into just how real this experience is. Learn about crystals and, the crystals ability to influence the chakras, the chakra system, and help to recalibrate our energy body so that we can operate in alignment and really receive. Like, all of that was new information, and it was blowing my mind. Shout out to spirit science. Spirit science was a very key, resource for me and my friends at that time. But yeah, so the journey was God's mandate. We started a band called Irie. Irie stands for I and I reflects interconnected eternity. You feel me? That was the message. That was what we were on in college. We had a movement. Anybody that was at Loyola during that time, y'all know the vibes. Y'all know what it was. I would come on there on the announcement every Monday. I'll grab the mic. I'll hear people start plugging their ears. Irie! We were turned up with interconnectedness and that spirit, and it's the same essence of what we're taking into the world now, with Giga Gigantic and, the anthems, that we're creating to transform the souls of the masses. The essence has always been there. So yeah, boom, boom, boom. Go through college, exploring my sound, refining my sound, really tapping into my talent. I guess sonically, to place it chronologically, this is where the project Feel Good, which is only on SoundCloud, from the time being, is where like I discovered my sound. Omalama was created right at the end of college, you feel me? So we were already making like big records then. After college, shout out to my best friend at the time and my manager at the time who, the relationships aren't, we've shed some of these relationships, but I can definitely reflect on that time. And, during that time, right after college, we're like, all right, boom, we're going to LA. We're going to LA to go become famous, And at that time, Major Lazer wanted to do something with one of my records, which I refused because I'm like, something in my intuition told me not to go that way. But in my head, I'm like, we on, like we should already be on. At that time, I was like, we about to blow up. Like, college was the training ground. We prepared during college, there was so much more to learn. But yeah, we go out to LA, I start, meeting my connects in LA, making incredible music, records like Closer were made. So many songs were made. Hurricane, Healing, yeah, these records were made in LA. So much dope ass music was made, man. It's still out. It's still streaming now. Millions of streams on some of those records. And yeah, the journey continues. Honing my craft, honing my ability to be in a studio setting and create quickly. Like, I was creating records super fast. I mean, now it's even faster because before I would write and I would just write really fast and then be like, all right, I got it. But now it's like we're creating in the moment. I don't write anymore. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I don't. I mean, it's a tool that I can use, but I don't usually write my records anymore. It slows me down. So yeah, really master my craft, putting in those 10,000 hours, being, in tune. Now, life. I guess I come up to more recently. I went out to Southeast Asia, and I was in Southeast Asia for a year and a half. Um, Now, this is super. This is awesome. This is awesome. So, all of that time was about honing my sound. You know, um, honing the my skills as an artist, because now I can see how it all played together. So, what like I said, I did not I did not like fully being a man as well. It's just feeling. Excuse me. Feeling was something that came second nature to me. Even though I was an artist, the feeling that I had experience with was like channeling the divine and channeling flows and channeling feeling into music. I'm a Scorpio as well. I feel deeply. You know what I'm saying? I feel very deeply. And like now, now I'm much more able to like flow it and utilize it constructively. Um, but yeah, before it was more so just about repressing those strong emotions. Um, and that's kind of how like I learned to survive, because I didn't have like I didn't have like a male role model, or like somebody to really teach me about feeling. My mom wasn't supported in her, what I'm saying, in her role to be our mother. So like that whole nurturing stuff, I never really got that so much.